Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. I am very excited to have this young gentleman on the show with me. Dr. Robb Kelly is here. It's not the drinking, it's the thinking is the topic. Y'all know my background as far as addictions and the addiction world goes. So I am very excited to have somebody come on and really give us a 411 and update us and kind of give us the thought process on it. Look at his background and wait till you hear his accent. This is the one and only Dr. Robb Kelly. Hi, Robb. How you doing?
Ted, thank you so much for having me on. I'm doing absolutely amazing, like every single day. I'm a 10 every day.
I can tell that's your MO, which is great. People flock to people who have that kind of attitude and all day long. So before we get into the topic, you know, the audience loves origin story. They want to know about you. You provided an amazing bio, which I really actually read this time. It was excellent. But for those people who didn't read, give us a little background on you.
So my name's Dr. Robb Kelly. They call me the Addiction Doctor. And I'm a chronic alcoholic and a drug addict who's been sober for some time. Started drinking at the age of 9 on stage. I know exactly when it was. It was Liverpool Irish Centre in England many years ago. And my drinking career took off then, to be honest. And all through my teens and my time at school, I went to Oxford University, the only person to go to college in my family, because I had a job at Abbey Road at the time playing bass. So the money from there put me through because I come from a very poor family. But I wanted to succeed, but the drinking kept taking me down. After getting married and 2 kids, lost them both, all of them, kids, wife, cars, mom and dad, houses, and eventually from $1 million house, ended up on the streets of Manchester, homeless for 14 months. And my goodness, it was horrible, the stuff I saw on the streets. And then somehow I got off the streets, and 3% of people come off the streets, by the way, guys, in Manchester. It's a terrible place to be. It's a bit like Beirut.
It's only 3%?
Yes, 3% only.
Wow.
And I was one of those 3. But I think somehow I was chosen.
What a blessing.
I always said to myself, if I get off the streets, I'm going to spend the rest of my life, because I didn't see my kids. I've not seen my youngest one ever. She will never speak to me 28 years on or 30 years. But I want to spend the rest of my life doing this. And that's what I did. I came off. I went back. I got a double PhD. I went back to college. I always have a PhD in psychology, but I went back for behavioral science because I knew there was a part missing. And what I do is I put families back together again. We stop alcoholics from drinking and drug addicts from taking drugs. We're building this amazing life because that's what it's about. I've worked with some household names, the biggest movie stars, etc., etc. But I enjoy my job today, Ted, because it's about changing lives. You know, why put somebody down when you can lift them up? Words are very, very powerful. So I'm careful. A couple of things. Be careful who you're around. Show me your friends. I'll show you your future. Yes. And be careful what you listen to. I'll just say enough for that. And here I am today, San Antonio, Texas, Manchester boy, but I'm end up in Texas somehow. And
I know it's so funny because when I hear that accent, I definitely don't think Texas.
You know, every time I walk into a Starbucks in San Antonio, I never get out with someone because when I order my tea, could I have tea, please? Oh my God, where are you from? That accent's so cool. It's like, I've never paid for Starbucks yet. Awesome.
Nice. I have to ask you, when you're telling that story, and I want to take a little bit of a deep dive into that because I think it's important for people to understand that you're where you're at, but the journey, you've brushed over it, but it's a long, arduous journey. And it's a constant journey. It's a daily challenge, minute by minute. I let you explain that. But when you share that story, are you used to sharing it so much that you just glaze over it, or do you feel it when you feel the loss and you feel the things that you were unable to keep because of the disease?
Yeah, I come over all happy and everything when I'm telling it, but for the first 15, 16 years, I could not tell that story without crying. But there's a couple of things happened over the last 4 years, and that is my eldest daughter got in contact with me on Facebook, and we've regenerated that relationship as it introduced me to my granddaughter. So it's easier today. It's like when they took him off me, the authorities, because they found me drunk with him, wasted, the last thing my daughter said to me was, Daddy, please stop drinking. And that has haunted me for all these years. So, yeah, it's kind of still, when I'm telling my story, my full story, I still get to that point when she's at the gate and I fill up and my eyes kind of weep a little because it's still painful, Ted. It really is, you know?
Well, you know those things. And because you're sober now, you can really look back at those with clearer eyes. And I think that that's where so much of the work begins there, because for the very first time, you're actually seeing the things that you did to people. You are beginning to take responsibility or learning how to take responsibility. And that's part of the journey. So when you were one of the 3% that got out, did you use the traditional AANA? What was your path like?
I had a spiritual awakening one morning, and I'm not looking up to the sky and saying, God, I can't do this on my own anymore. That's all I said. Guy walked around the corner 3 o'clock in the morning with a little Bible in his hand. He'd missed his last bus home from Bible study, as if I wanted a religious person coming to me. And my life took off there. And I promised to my God that I'll spend the rest of my life helping families that don't understand the alcoholic and getting alcoholics well. And I'm quite aggressive about it, you know. If you want to get well, I'm your guy. If you just want to come because your parents are paying, I'm not your guy. I'm not going to take any money off you, because this is killing more people than cancer and heart attacks put together, you know, and nobody's talking about it. And I'll tell you why nobody's talking about it.
I was going to ask that. So
money.
Good.
There's no money. Exactly. There's no money in recovery. Now, if they can't give you a pill or can't charge you 30 grand to go into a treatment center, why is anybody going to get well? And that's what I was annoyed at.
Tell me about the process, because I did my master's degree is in a field that involved addiction. And so I know enough to be dangerous. And what I remember very clearly was that I felt like the recidivism rate, which for those of you who don't want to look that up, that's the repeat rate. So you go back and back again. The recidivism rate was so high. And the programs that we were doing were putting a Band-Aid on the situation, but we in America seemed like we were struggling with how to really address the problem and make it so that it's livable. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think people go in and they're like, I'll just go to a 28-day program. I'm not going to make fun of Britney Spears, but I think of that whole passages thing. And there's all these programs and you go in and it's all fluff. And I don't feel like a lot of the work gets really done. What are some of the solutions? What can we really do to start really getting at the problem?
Well, when you look at treatment centers, and there's some great ones around, guys, don't get me wrong, but on average, you got a 3 to 10% success rate. We turned Britney Spears down probably a week before she went crazy. But we got to look at what it's about. It's not about the alcohol and it's not about the drugs. What? I'm telling you guys, it's got 1% to do with it. What I have is self-sabotaging neural pathways that's been distorted from birth. You're either born an alcoholic or you're not. Drugs are differently. That's a different thing. But alcohol is you can trace it back in your family. You're hereditary. You're born this way. Now, whether you take a drink or not depends on whether you become an alcoholic or not. But the guys that don't take a drink and have the same brain, they're the guys running Google and Apple and multi-billion-dollar companies, because we're very smart people. We make sure we get it done. So it's about changing neural pathways, changing the way we think, changing the way we treat ourselves, sabotaging neural pathways, because I want to always injure myself or hurt myself and family given a period of time. That needs to change. Behavior needs to change. And the family as a whole needs to change. We work with the mom and dad if it's the son, or we work with the wife and the kids. It's a family disease, guys. It's a family illness, but it's also a family recovery. And over a period of 90 days, we guarantee your recovery. In fact, we're the only people that offer a money-back guarantee. The only people, Ted. How's that possible?
And I want to get back to that, but I want to ask you about the family, because what we found back in the day, it's been a while since I've been in, but I remember thinking they're feeling really good. They've had 28-day, we'll start with 28-day, I'll just use that, intensive. But when they came back out, they were right back in the same house, the same neighborhood, the same people they hung out with, the same job, the same friends, all of the same people who were obviously enabling, at a minimum enabling, and then there was much worse than that. How do we address that issue? Is that what you're talking about, where you want to treat the entire family?
Yeah, we do telehealth only now since COVID, and the proven success rate is phenomenal. You have to see me every single day for an hour. So we change things. But you are so right, Ted. If you take somebody out of the house, let's say who speaks German, then you take them into a treatment center because we have our own language, and let's say that's Spanish. Okay, when the Spanish-speaking person now goes back into the German house, have a guess what's going to happen? He's going to start speaking German again. So everything needs to change. Everything needs to be done in your own environment, because you're okay locked up somewhere for 28 days, but when you come out and the first problem comes, I'm going to my comfort blanket, and my comfort blanket is vodka, unfortunately. So we have to change that old pressure, educate the wife, educate the kids, and make sure everyone understands that this is not the alcoholic's fault, but there is a way out where you can permanently recover from the stuff that you're going through, because it's not about the alcohol.
So what is it about then? And, I want you to give them, because I think people will find what they believe the problem is, but unless you have a professional like Dr. Robb Kelly and his team, you may have been fooling yourself all this time as to what the problem is, and you really have never addressed the root of it.
So there's a scenario, Ted. I'm outside a liquor store, 5:30 in the morning in England, freezing cold, snowing. I'm dying for a drink. I'm sweating. I've got a vest, a pair of shorts, and flip-flops on. I'm stood in the snow. I'm sweating. I'm shaking. A banging headache. I'm going into DTs if I don't get a drink. This guy lets me in early, shouldn't serve it, and he put the bottle on the counter, Ted, and I grabbed hold of the handle and went. All my mood changed. My sweating stopped. My headache went. Now I'm in a great mood. I looked at the bottle, not even open, and I looked at the shopkeeper, and it suddenly hit me. It's not a drinking problem. It's a thinking problem. It's the way I think about it. So once it doesn't go inside my body, I can't get allergic to it because I'm allergic to alcohol. I don't get allergic. So really, it's about the mindset. So the most intoxicating part of a journey, this will kill everybody, but it's so true, is not the thought, oh my God, I'll have a drink. Not the, oh my God, I've got it, I'm going to drink it, but the journey to the liquor store. That's the most intoxicating part. So it's not about the alcohol. It's the way I think about the alcohol. That could be sex, food, drugs. It could be anything. It's not the alcohol. Stop thinking it's the alcohol. Don't stop going to places where they say, we're just going to make you stop drinking. If I could just stop drinking and all my problems would be over, I'd stay stopped, but it isn't. When you take the alcohol away from Robb, you've still got Robb. And Robb's not a nice guy. And that's what we have to think about.
And why do we have such trouble doing that? It's because we've just placated everybody for so long, and are we just afraid of it? We've glossed it over in Hollywood. What are some of the reasons why people really don't want to get to the nitty gritty? And how do you change that? How do you get them to realize that the problem isn't what they think? It's not the drink, it's how they think, right? So how do you get to them? Because I think the reaching people get tired. You were tired. People get super exhausted to the point where they just want whatever they're feeling right at that moment to be done. But then there's a little bit of work involved, and so people retract. So how do you get them to commit to that process?
Well, I always assess people. Do you want it bad enough that you're going to, do anything? And if I find yes, I'll take him. A lot easier than taking just anybody. We don't do that. So alcoholics always have trauma, always childhood trauma. Don't think there isn't. There's different kinds of trauma, but there's trauma there. And we have to go back to the scene of the crime where it all happened. And we need to clear that up. We need to do some work on it. We need to let it go. And we need to come back to the future. And really, every alcoholic is amazing. They've got $1 million mind. The problem being, though, Ted, is they've hung around 10-cent minds. People have said you're a waste of time. You'll never do this. You're a drunk. No, what my gift is in life is to get them to see who they really are. Because the definition of madness or insanity is not being able to see my own truth. I always wanted to think I was horrible. I had to commit suicide, kill myself. No, that's self-sabotaging pathways. Let's get rid of them thought ways. Let's plant some great stuff subconsciously. So when it comes to the prefrontal cortex, you're up and you're ready. And it's a process of watching them grow and me believing in them and my whole team believing in them. Then working with the families that they will go back and clear all this stuff up. So then they have a free mind. And what they find is again, alcohol wasn't the problem. It was their comfort blanket.
And I feel like the families, it's a lot of work, guys, what Dr. Robb is talking about. So don't think that it's this easy thing. If you're committed to it, you've got to go all in, because if you don't, then you'll be right back where you started if you don't build up those foundations that Robb's talking about. It's so critical, especially the family. So I love this part of what you're saying, because that used to be the biggest challenge. We would have people who desperately wanted to get better, but they did not have any support system whatsoever once they left. And then you don't know what to do. You're like, well, do I just not talk to my family and friends? Maybe you can talk about that a little bit, because I think people are so afraid that they'd rather continue down the path than figure out how to live their lives without the negative influence, even if it's family.
When you look back at the traits of an alcoholic, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. And the wife's going, here we go. So when she finds something that works, like we do, the wife's still going, oh, here we go. So she doesn't buy into it. So then that belittles the alcoholic and his little belief he has in being able to overcome this disease. And it's like a vicious circle. Somebody has to make a stand and stand up and go, guys, stop. This is the real deal. Wife, let's get through your stuff from childhood so you can then fully trust your husband. We'll do the same with your husband. And while we're doing it, let's get the kids involved, because whether you think you have or you're not, I'm guaranteeing you have damaged them kids from your behavior. We don't mean to do it. We're sick. But if you leave them alone, it's not going to be, I was going to say something that was horrible, but I'm not going to. The end result won't be guys. These are the guys that go up and shoot schools up. These are the guys that are quiet ones in the corner. We've got to really seriously talk about this. Let's get them involved in the family. Listen, guys, remember when you were kids and you used to say, oh, what do you want to be, Johnny? I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a fireman. What the hell happened to them dreams? I'll tell you, family and society kick them out of you. Then you find alcohol. Them dreams are still alive, guys. Once you put it down, this is what we're going for. We're not going to stop drinking to live in the same one-bedroom crappy apartment, working for $5 an hour. It's not going to happen. I'm going to take you to places you've never even dreamed of. This is what recovery is about. It's not about stopping drinking. Any fool can do that. Can you stay sober? Are you happy with your life? Are you on a cloud 9 every day and 10? I'm on a pink cloud for over 30 years, Ted. I ain't coming off soon.
I love that you're on a pink cloud. I love that your attitude and your energy, that's what you want. And I think a lot of people want the same thing. They are just so caught up in the same awful, terrible, destructive patterns that have become their crutch, their comfort zone. And for a lot of people, it's easier to go to what's comfortable, even if it's painful, than trying to break free from that. When you treat alcohol and drug, is it different? We had questions about this before we went live. So is the treatment different? Are you treating different symptoms? Or are you just treating the overall thinking process?
The thinking process is exactly the same, although alcohol has a different effect on the brain. So when we first drink, we absolutely become alcoholic and can't stop drinking over a period of time. Drugs, you can't. You have to take drugs over a period of time before you become addicted. So that's the difference. But the process we do is the same for smoking, porn addiction, alcohol, drugs, TV, gym, whatever it may be, because it's changing this. If we have to do something to access, there's something missing. With alcoholics, we're born this way. We're born to self-sabotage. And really, we just need to replan and reroute them neural pathways to positive ones and become happy. Why wouldn't you be happy on a daily basis? But people are scared, Ted. I'm not going to do it. What happens if this, the real world, can I do this? It's like, that's why I guarantee people, stop worrying, okay? Let me guarantee. I always say this, I have a Mercedes in the garage, brand new. I'll give you my keys. What? That's how confident I am. Because you can't see who you are. And if me and you could swap places for 10 minutes, I tell them, all your problems will be over. Over, I tell you. Put the comfort blanket down, for goodness sake. You don't need it anymore. This is about going out and living life to the full every single day, guys. Oh, that's not possible. Shut up. Of course it's possible. Mindset. Look at Ted. Look at his great face, happy face. He does great work. I love this guy. I was so excited when I was on the show today. You see, we don't go around with miserable. Do we have our bad days? Of course we do, or better days than others. But you see, my job isn't to come in here today oh, I've been sober for 90 years. My life's terrible. No, it's to give you hope, that life is amazing.
You must, this must feed your soul. I just remember being in the industry and thinking, God, this is such important work, and you want to save everybody, and you can't, but you want to try. But also, it must bring you joy, almost joy with tears, to see the changes in the lives of the addict and the addict's family.
I think the addicts, I hate to say this, but the alcoholics and addicts, it's kind of a done deal for me. I know it's always going to work. Listen, guys, 6,500 patients, never failed yet. Okay, so where do I get my joy? Well, I get my joy from the parents or the husband and wives, because when they get on crying and say, we've tried 10 treatment centers, we spent over $1 million. How come you come along on Zoom and fix the problems? It's like, know your craft, guys. If you're not healing people, get out the industry. It's a sham. You got to make sure. But when the parents, we had an office full of letters from parents and wives and husbands. And that's the joy, Ted. Oh, I get to see my kids for the first time in 3 years. Makes me cry. I get off the phone and I'm sobbing. It's like, this is life, guys. This is what's been missing all of your life. And what you don't know, you don't know. So if you've been locked away for a bit, it's going to change things. I'm afraid it's not. It really isn't, unless you go do the deep work like we talked about before. And oh man, I want everybody to have this. That's
Agreed.
why I can't hear these stuff. You can tap the cow. You can tap my house. You can tap, because it's going to work. No such thing as failing with Dr. Robb Kelly. He's in this for good. Ooh.
How is it? Your energy is, I don't know how you could be in a room with you and not be motivated or inspired, which is part of your gift. So what a blessing, Robb. I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
What do you do as we had a couple people ask this. All right, he's an addict, he's a recovering addict, however you want to word it. What do you do on a daily basis to stay on track?
Well, I get up every morning and I do, without my wife knowing, I do quick prayers and I try and do my mirror work, tell myself I love me 10 times. We're talking to the subconscious brain, not the prefrontal cortex. So I'm getting that done. I'm working with people. I'm helping people. I'm staying on track. I'm going to my 1 meeting a week where I teach book study. I'm doing these great things. Every time I compliment somebody, Ted, dopamine flows in my brain. I love that. And then I exercise my neural pathways for good health by doing good deeds. I often say on podcasts, listen, guys, if you're having a bad day, give me 5 minutes on the phone. Call me for 5 minutes. I will change your life in 5 minutes, because I know the other side is amazing. And I want to grab as many people as I can over. But, it's just, I can't explain it, man. It's just, I've got to keep safe. When I go to talks or TV, all the TV I do and books and everything, there's always gets 1 or 2 girls that come over, usually younger, in the 20s, and give me the phone number. What I do with that phone number is I pass it on to my wife and we both giggle because I'm nearly 60. And we laugh about it. Now, Ted, could I take that number and call her behind my wife's back and do some naughty stuff? Yeah, but will that be walking the walk and talking the talk? No. And if I did that, I would relapse. So it's stuff like that, knowing your power, knowing. Somebody said the other day, Dr. Robb, I don't know how much to charge. I've just become a therapist. My answer was, how much are you worth? Know your worth, guys, today. I don't care if you're sweeping the road or you're an assistant manager in a multi-billion-dollar company. Know your worth. Everybody loves a leader. Why can't it be you? Whoa, stop. Why can't it be you? We're supposed to stop being selfish. People are looking up to you. People are, want you to get well. People love each other, and that's what we need to get out. And stop the hate, guys. What's all that about? That's the media. 90% of our problems would be gone if you turn the TV off.
I totally agree with that. We talk about it all the time. Turn that damn TV off. Turn it off. Focus on meditation. I don't know. Do something. Prayer. Read. But that TV, especially the news, on either side of the fence, it is a challenge. All right, Dr. Robb Kelly, tell them, and we had several people before we went live say, I want to reach out to him. So they must have read your bio. So what's the best way for people to reach you?
Well, you can either Google or any search engine, Dr. Robb Kelly, or you can go to my website. I spell Robb, R-O-B-B. So it's robbkelly.com. Simple as that. RobbKelly.com. And you know, listen, I want to say this to them guys out there who don't think they're good enough, don't think they're going to amount to anything. First of all, I want to apologize to you. Somebody's put that there. But listen, I think people think I'm mad, Ted. Here's my cell number. If you're really down and really need a 5-minute chat, because that's all I can afford, 5 minutes, but I will change your life, guys. 214-600-0210. That's not your cell phone, Rob. It is, guys. You're not going to get my staff. You're going to get me personally. And talk to me. Tell me what you're going through. I'm not going to sell you anything. I don't want your money. I want to help you. You know, a 5-minute chat will cost you nothing. And I'll tell you what kind of person you are, which is usually amazing, because we are. We're amazing people. We know our worth. Very powerful. Empowered people empower people. Remember that.
I do. Oh, my God. You're absolutely amazing. And I want to thank you for sharing your journey, because it really makes a difference. I know it has made a difference in the audience's life. And I could listen to you for hours, Robb. I love the energy and the positivity. You're changing lives. Obviously, that is all around you all the time. What a blessing you are. You all, if you feel it at all, you know somebody who's feeling it and going through it. The website's scrolling across the bottom, robbkelly.com. I've tagged him in all the social media. And if you really want his phone number, you need him for that 5 minutes, reach out to me and I will make sure you get it. Robb, you're absolutely amazing. Thank you for all you do in the world and for coming on the show. What a blessing. Come back anytime. We can all use an injection of Dr. Robb Kelly in our lives for sure.
Thank you, Ted. It's been absolute amazing. Thank you.
You're awesome. Thank you. All right, robbkelly.com. All you guys that reached out to me before, reach out. How he is now is what you're going to get, and this is what you want. And I know you want it because you reached out to me and said you want it. So we love you guys. Have a great one.